fact checkers be like, we've seen people talk about how the sky is blue, and we found this to be false. The sky is actually black, but it is blue during the daytime. We've seen people talk about how the color orange is orange. This is false. It's actually a mixture of red and yellow, which creates orange. We've seen a lot of conspiracy theorists talking about how water is necessary to keep you alive. This is false. There's actually a lot of things needed to keep a human alive, not just water. People have been saying that going outside is really good for your mental health. This is false, as nobody wants to see your ugly face. People are saying that anybody that believes us are borderline retards. This is actually false. They're the average Twitter user. A lot of people are thinking that the world is going to shit, and this is false. And if you don't think so, then you're a part of the problem and you need to be silenced and neutralized. If you couldn't tell by now, this is how fact checkers use headlines in order to control the flow of information. Because if you actually read the article, they will admit that most of it is right, except for this one minute irrelevant detail. So the entire claim is false, right? Because they know nobody's gonna actually read the article, and they're just gonna look at the headline. Unless they're trying to dispute something that's obviously a joke, like the KFC Black History Month meme. Which actually, after reading the article on it, I found out that KFC actually did post that, but just not for Black History Month. Which once again proves my point. Fact checkers be like, KFC didn't post this for Black History Month, they posted it for Emancipation Day. However, the photo still depicts a piece of fried chicken that creates the Black Lives Matter logo in its shadow. So I don't know how it's any better. You gotta remember that there's no government regulation on this, and it's just some random African guy that Mark Zuckerberg hired. This has been proven false. It's not an African guy. He's from Zimbabwe. Okay, jokes aside, it's actually mostly true. I remember Instagram used to have that African fact check under everything. Nowadays, they use Twitter blue check marks, which, in my opinion, is actually a downgrade. And if you aren't familiar with Twitter blue check marks, the ones that don't have many followers are usually up to some bullshittery. For example, here's this fact check article. We have doubled our oil imports from Russia in the last year. The US did not double oil imports from Russia in the last year. And then you scroll down and it's actually not doubled, but an increase of 28%. So you think this article would get a mostly true or a half true, but unfortunately for you, 800 follower count blue check mark is controlling the information. So the people that see this article are going to be like, oh, it's mostly false. That means the US isn't buying any Russian oil, right? Okay, have you ever noticed how fact checkers only work for the Democrats? I mean, a rumor about a Democratic politician will get fact checked in 2 days. Meanwhile, thousands of claims about Republicans go unnoticed. I mean, if you're going to push an agenda, please try to make it less obvious. I've already shown some examples of them heavily defending Democrats. Here's one where they attack Republicans. But first, a word from today's sponsor, Keeps. Don't want to end up like this guy? Scared of being portrayed as the soy Wojak and actually being true? Once you reach this point, it might be time to try Keeps. Keeps is a subscription-based hair loss prevention product that is doctor recommended, meaning you can get expert care delivered to your doorstep. In fact, with each treatment plan, there's a full year of 24/7 customer connection with the prescribing doctor. This doctor being a part of the many expert advisors in Keeps' arsenal to combat your hair loss. You'll also receive refill reminders to remind you to refill and remind you how precious your hair is. Each treatment plan is different, whether you want to prevent hair loss, stimulate hair growth, or just have a healthy option to your hair. I know some of the younger audience might be thinking, Ibs, I'm too young to be worrying about hair loss. Well, 2 out of 3 guys will experience hair loss by the time they're 35. So when you get to that point, remember, hair loss stops with Keeps. To get 50% off your first order, go to keeps.com/ibs or click the link in the description. That's keeps.com/IBZ. Back to the video. According to Republican Rep. Jeff Shipley, teachers should not receive a pay raise if they teach American history that Republicans don't agree with. Then below it says, teachers should not be getting a raise if pushing topics the legislature banned in law. They shouldn't be getting a raise. They should be getting fired. And what is the politics about? Critical race theory, which absolutely should not be pushed by school teachers. So if this is true, then I'm glad. However, not everyone is going to read the article like I did. Most are going to see that Republicans are preventing teachers from talking about topics they disagree with, and that this was proven mostly true. I was surprised to see that the author didn't have their Twitter linked, so I looked them up and found their LinkedIn. And honestly, what I found was a bit worse. She's a college student who hasn't even graduated yet and is a little bit younger than me if she started college right out of high school. And she's been a college intern reporter for 10 months. That is who you're trusting your fact checks with. College interns. It makes me wonder, could I be a fact checker? Could you be a fact checker? All you need is the correct political affiliation. I'm here on the PolitiFact website and they have a donate button. And honestly, I'd rather die and then piss on my own grave than donate to you. Claims that Canada imposed martial law is false. Typically, martial law refers to temporary rule by military authorities. During a press conference, Trudeau said that he wanted to be equally clear about what the Emergency Act does not do. We're not using the Emergency Act to call in the military. That's right, it's not the military. It's a heavily militarized police force, actually. And then they don't even disprove the second claim of the frozen bank accounts. In fact, they prove that it's true. But they put false and not mostly false or half true. It's just false. Also, it says martial law includes the restriction of civil rights, which includes the right to protest. So technically, this is true. But no, they're not deploying the military or suspending fundamental rights just because Trudeau said so, right? This is prime example of we investigated ourselves and found out that we did nothing wrong, which is something that a dictator does. And guess which side of the political spectrum Trudeau resides on? You know, all of a sudden this graph is starting to make sense. Alright, I guess I gotta cut it out before this video gets taken down by the people who hired the fact checkers. Back to the jokes, right? People have been claiming that this is Link. Fact checkers have found this to be false. This is actually Zelda. We've seen people talk about the new From Software game called Elden Ring. This is actually false. It's Dark Souls 4. The animations are the same, the Estus Flask is the same, the souls work the same. And if you disagree, you're racist and homophobic. Here's why Elden Ring being exactly like Dark Souls is actually a good thing. Yes, the COVID vaccine actually does alter your DNA, and here's why it's a good thing. We've seen people talking about how nuclear war is imminent. This is false. Please, just stay calm and stay inside. Have you ever noticed that when they get something wrong, instead of going back on it, they try to twist it into some good thing? Okay, so nuclear war is imminent. But here's how it's actually a good thing. If there's one thing you could take from this video is that the next time someone shows you a fact check article to disprove your argument, tell them that the fact checkers are politically biased college interns, and they're most likely pushing a political agenda in order to get their place in the industry. Or actually read the article, because chances are your point still stands.